Hey guys, what's going on? David over here at InvestQ, and I hope everyone's having a great day. Today, we're going to be talking about what I personally believe is one of SEALSQ's most important updates of the year. And the reason why I think it is the most important update thus far is because one of the complaints that I have been noticing among shareholders of SEALSQ is they do see lots of press releases coming out, but they feel as if the press release is kind of neutral or in and again, this isn't my term I'll use, but it's just from the overall sentiment from what I have heard from investors and shareholders is kind of useless or kind of trying to redirect you from what a lot of people and a lot of pessimistic shareholders of SEALSQ, they think it's if like they're trying to redirect you from the poor financials and how there's lots of smoke and mirrors going on. But this specific article, this press release that came out yesterday, specifically talking about how they got the reports for the H1 2026 results, and it's regarding revenue and how it's up 120%, and that the fiscal year 2026 guidance is being reaffirmed due to the recent performance. So today, I want to break down what this article means, and I want to go and walk through this press release section by section and explain what personally stood out to me. And I want to share why it is I think it may be one of the strongest updates we have seen for the company thus far. And as always, disclaimer, this is not financial advice. These are simply my personal opinions as an investor. So let's jump right into it. Now, when we go into the article, the first thing that stood out to me was the fact that SEALSQ reported preliminary first half revenue at approximately $11 million, which is an increase of 120% year over year. But what I found that is even more encouraging, what's more encouraging to me, rather than just the acceleration in their revenue, it's also the fact that during the first quarter, the company generated roughly $4 million in revenue. And then in the second quarter, that increased to approximately $7 million, as we do see here. So it shows you right here for Q2 2026 was $7 million. And then that accelerated from the $4 million in Q1. So why that portion of the article is specifically important to me is because it suggests that the growth isn't just happening year over year, it's also improving quarter over quarter from a shorter time frame and a bigger picture time frame from the just over the few past months from quarter to quarter and then year over year. So from both time frames, we're seeing that improvement in revenue. And for a growth company like SEALSQ, the thing about it is, in my opinion, especially with all the speculation around this company, that's the type of trend that investors generally want to see. And what management also did is it reaffirmed its full year guidance, expecting between 50 to 100% revenue growth compared to the fiscal year of 2025. Now, there's another positive side, another positive sign, because if management believed that the business was slowing, this would have been opportunity to lower expectations. But guess what? They're not doing that, and they're boldly letting you know. They're saying with confidence that the fiscal year 2026 forward guidance projections that they had are still the same, and they're on track, and they want to even beat the 50 to 100% growth in revenue if they can, and it does appear that they have the potential to do so. So another thing, quick reminder before we continue, if you're enjoying the content and want to connect with the community, check out the first link below for the free InvestQ community. And if you want access to advanced stock research and tools, the second link is a Prophecy 7-day trial for just $7. And last, if you want daily market updates and behind the scenes content, follow me on Instagram using the third link in the description. Now, let's get back to the video. That I want to be covering is talking about their balance sheet, because as of June 30th, they reported roughly $495 million in cash and short-term investments right here. I really hate how I can't use my clicker. So yeah, right here. Whenever I try to click it, it won't let me do it with these press releases, but it's fine. I can just do that. But just to highlight it, here it is right here for you. And it's also right here where it actually states the date right there for June 30th. Anyways, getting back to the video, this is a significant amount of capital relative to the company's current revenue. Now, take a step back, because it is important to remember that this cash position was strengthened by previous capital raises. So you got to realize that investors should continue weighing the benefits of financial flexibility along with the short-term impact of dilution. But nevertheless, whether you stand on the more concerned side of things or you're more comfortable and happy with the company having more flexibility, having a stronger balance sheet gives management the ability to continue investing in research, acquisitions, commercialization, and strategic partnerships without immediately worrying about liquidity. Now, another statistic that did catch my eye was regarding their pipeline, and specifically the number, their pipeline opportunity, how much value that pipeline has, is right here, $225 million in potential revenue opportunities all the way through 2029, and includes more than $60 million directly tied to QS7001 and QVault TPM post-quantum products. So real quick, going to the pipeline, the actual value of it through 2029 is $225 million. And even though we're seeing a lot of big numbers like $495 million in cash and short-term investments, that's regarding their balance sheet, you have to realize that the $225 million in the pipeline opportunity is not realized revenue yet. It is just the potential of how much revenue can be realized if management can execute and get those contracts, get those clients, and actually have the pipeline come to fruition and actually make it a reality rather than just an opportunity. Now, on the flip side of it, though, you do have to realize that a pipeline does give investors insight into how much potential business management believe is currently available. And even more interesting, talking about what I said right here about the 60 million tied to these post-quantum products, specifically the QS7001 and the QVault post-quantum products, that does tell me that management expects these next generation security products to become increasingly important over the next several years. And that is the type of talk you want to hear from management when they're talking about their own products and when they're talking about the opportunities that they have presented to them. And just overall, you want to hear this type of, not here because I'm reading, but you want to be able to read this type of article with the type of vocabulary that they're using, because you can tell that they do have a lot of confidence. Now, one of the biggest questions surrounding SEALSQ has always been this specific question. And that question that I'm mainly referencing to is, when do these products actually start generating meaningful revenue? Now, here's the good thing what I like from this article is that management actually gave investors a clearer answer. According to the company, the initial revenues from the QS7001 secure element and the QVault trusted platform module, they are expected to begin during the second half of 2026 after technical validation and customer integration. So to me, this represents a very important transition, because for years, you and me, we've both heard about the product development. But now what's different is management is talking about commercialization. And those are two completely different stages. And building great technology, while it's great and it's good, that's one thing. The other side of the coin is successfully selling it at scale is the other side of the coin that will make this company actually become successful. It's not just about how good the products are. It's about if they can sell those products. And over the next several quarters, that should give investors a much better idea of how quickly those products gain commercial adoption. And another part that I want to discuss was regarding certifications. And if you're curious what I'm talking about certifications, let me just show you right here. So right here, specifically underneath this headline right here, underneath this section with the H1 2026, SEALSQ achieved key milestones that support commercialization. These right here. So when you guys, well, most of you or most investors and shareholders, whenever they hear something regarding certification, their eyes probably glaze over and they say, oh, okay, that's interesting. But when it comes to cybersecurity, certifications are incredibly important because many government agencies and enterprise customers, they simply cannot purchase products that haven't passed certain security standards. And SEALSQ highlighted several important milestones. Their QS7001 secure element achieved NIST SP890B entropy source validation, and it also completed common criteria fault injection and side channel resistance testing. And management expects to continue progressing toward additional certifications like FIPS 140-3, Level 3, and common criteria, I'm going to say this wrong, EAL5 plus. I know for a fact I said some of those terms wrong. If you did hear it wrong, if I said it correctly, let me know. If I said it incorrectly, let me know in the comment section below as well. Again, I'm okay with positive or negative feedback from you guys. But anyways, these aren't just technical achievements. I want to make that very clear. They're prerequisites that can open the door to larger government and enterprise procurement opportunities. And without these certifications, many potential customers wouldn't even consider deploying the products. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is the next section actually might be one of the most important long-term parts of the entire press release, is that SEALSQ, it spent a considerable amount of time discussing government regulations. And the specific government regulations they're talking about were surrounding post-quantum cryptography. And they pointed to NIST finalizing post-quantum standards. And they referenced the European Cyber Resilience Act, and they highlighted the European regulators establishing deadlines for migrating toward quantum resistance cryptography. And they even mentioned that France's cybersecurity agency plans to stop certifying non-quantum resistant security products over time. Now, if you're asking why this even matters in the first place, and if you're still following along and you're asking that question, the reason that this matters is simply because this isn't simply a company claiming there's a future market. Governments themselves, they're the ones creating the framework that could increase the demand for post-quantum security solutions. Now, while that does not guarantee SEALSQ will win those opportunities, not by a long shot, well, I don't want to frame it that way as if it's this super, super impossible thing for SEALSQ, but I'm just trying to make it clear that there's no guarantees and these are just opportunities. Because again, execution still matters for the company, competition still matters, but it does create a supportive regulatory backdrop for companies operating in the space. And again, the opportunity is there. Let's see if SEALSQ can execute. And the last section I wanted to talk about was regarding one criticism that I've heard from investors is that SEALSQ seems to announce a new investment every few weeks. Specifically, you could talk about the one from Quobly, EeroQ, Mirax, Wecan, ICAlps, YSAT, and Quantix are the ones that come to mind. And sometimes it can feel difficult to understand how all those pieces fit together. And this press release actually helps answer that question, because management describes what they call their route to qubit strategy. Let me go over that for you real quick. Route to it's right here, to qubit, right there. So the route to qubit strategy, as it's shown right there. And in simple terms, what they're trying to do is build exposure across multiple layers of the quantum technology ecosystem. And that includes semiconductor design, secure hardware, quantum computing, photonics, digital identity. Don't forget about what we all talk about, AI, artificial intelligence, and satellite communications. Oh, sorry, I forgot one more. Also, post-quantum cryptography. I don't know how I could forget that when it comes to SEALSQ. But mentioning all those things, rather than betting that the company's future on one single product, management, what they're trying to do, and it's pretty clear as day, is they're trying to build a broader ecosystem of complementary technologies. And another thing that really stood out was the update on Seal Quantum Fund. And management says the fund has a target allocation of $200 million, as you do see right here. I'm showing my clicker right there, $200 million. And its purpose is to accelerate development across quantum hardware, semiconductor design, AI compliance, digital infrastructure, and secure communications. And this gives investors a much clearer picture of how management is allocating capital to build its longer term vision. So after reading this article, my takeaway is I understand why some investors remain skeptical. The company still needs to continue executing, and pipeline needs to convert into actual revenue, and commercialization has to accelerate. And investors, they will continue watching how management deploys capital. Those are all fair concerns, and those are questions that investors are asking and they should ask. But on the flip side, I also think this press release showed something important. For months, investors have seen announcement after announcement about acquisitions, partnerships, certifications, and strategic investments. Now, we're beginning to see stronger financial performance alongside those initiatives, and revenue is growing, and the balance sheet remains strong. Commercial products are moving closer to the market, and government regulations appear to be supporting the broader adoption of post-quantum security. And management, it continues to keep building what they describe as a vertically integrated post-quantum ecosystem. Now, whether that strategy ultimately succeeds or not, only time will tell, and management is the one responsible for executing. So let me know what you think about SEALSQ in the comment section below. And also let me know what it is you want to see in future upcoming videos. And if you do feel I added any value to your investing journey, please feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. But with that being said, guys, David over here at InvestQ, stay safe, keep making good decisions in your long-term portfolios, and stick to your trading plans. And I'll see you all in the next video.